Perfect. So what we'll do, guys, is we'll run through today's call. I'll actually touch on the agenda first so everyone's aware of what we'll actually be doing. So let's move over to that. So the agenda for the call today is a welcome and an introduction from GS1 and just a brief overview. I will set the scene then in terms of what are intelligent barcodes, the benefits of intelligent barcodes, and then we'll have a look at intelligent barcodes in action in various industries. So we'll look at healthcare and also in construction and rail. Just some examples there to give you an idea. We'll look at the GS1 digital link standard, which is based on intelligent barcodes. And we'll also look at implementation examples around the world in focusing on various sectors, including retail as well, and various retailer implementations. And supplier brand owner implementations. We'll then have some questions, some polls. There will be some polls at the start and towards the end as well. And we'll close out then after kind of an open question time as well, where we would encourage questions to come through. I suppose one thing as well as we go through, please do comment in the chat area as well. If you have anything that you would like to say or to have questioned, and Maria will be keeping an eye on that as we go through as well. So without further ado, let's work through the slides. So first of all, the antitrust. So GS1 competition law, GS1 Ireland operates in strict compliance with EU and national competition and antitrust laws. And compliance with competition and antitrust laws is always and has been the policy of GS1 Ireland. This means that there shall be no discussion of prices, allocation of customers or products, boycotts, refusals to deal, or market share. If any participant believes the group is drifting towards impermissible discussion, the topic shall be withdrawn until the opinion of counsel can be obtained. And you can find full competition law caution through the link at the bottom of this slide. And we will be sharing the slides as well afterwards. So if you want to review any of the information we've talked through, then you'll be able to do so. And then just a quick privacy and IP disclaimer. This session will be recorded in order to be able to share it with participants such as yourselves and also other members of GS1 Ireland or interested parties. By participating, you're authorizing GS1 to proceed and process the input that you share for the realization of this work group. So a welcome to all the participants. We've had quite a good sign up for this event, and it goes across many industries. That pretty much sums up a lot of the industry operation across Ireland. A large focus on food and beverage and retail, but we also have DIY and construction, with consumer goods, medical devices, healthcare and pharmaceuticals, and also trade associations and even a few not-for-profits as well in there in the registrations. Apparel are in there as well. So what we're going to try and do today is to, I suppose, cover all of those areas, or give some examples of intelligent barcodes in those areas and how they might be applicable. So why this work group, or why have we done this? So intelligent barcodes are a globally trending topic within GS1, but also within industry, across industry as well. The benefits, the use cases are starting to come out, and people are starting to implement as well and see the benefits there. The purpose of this group is to demystify the topic of intelligent barcodes. What are they? So what do they look like? What kind of information is encoded? Why should you be thinking about them? So what is the relevance to your business? And how are they being implemented as well then? So what are the actual on-the-ground use cases and what are the learnings from those? And we want to help GS1 Ireland members achieve labeling efficiencies as well, which will create efficiencies within their supply chain as a result, sharing more granular and more detailed data. And it's also part of GS1 Ireland's strategic plan to deepen our membership engagement, and also build community collaboration, which is what this group aims to do, to build a community that we can actually work together and help each other with. And what we'll be counting on is receiving input from yourselves on the next steps and future meetings. There will be some polls during this call, and there'll also be an after work group survey which will be sent out, which will be looking to kind of pinpoint what exactly you're looking for, what do you want to talk about, and what's of interest to yourself, and that'll be shared in an email after the after this session is finished. So that brings us on to our first poll. So let me just dig that out. Just getting an error here, Maria, to say I'm logged in from another device. Can you control the poll from your side? If not, then we can.
Yeah, I'll have a go.
Yeah, perfect.
Is that visible to everybody? Yeah, I can see them all coming in there now.
Okay. So the first poll that we're actually sending out there, folks, is aimed at establishing, I suppose, your area of interest and reason for joining this call, so that we can actually start to pinpoint future materials as well. And Maria, if you can let me know when you think the majority of people have come in. I can't see the poll, or I can't see the actual information.
Okay, so it's telling me on screen attendees are now viewing the poll results. If anybody can just...
I can confirm we see it on the screen now.
Brilliant, thanks, Stefan.
Thank you.
Okay, so Tim, the top two there, we have a 75% response rate. Traceability and stock visibility and inventory management are by far the two big winners, and then fairly evenly matched thereafter in terms of recall, customer interaction, and order management.
Perfect. So recall, customer interaction, and waste management, was it?
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. So yeah, all of those topics we'll actually be covering through different examples and talking through. And if there are any other questions outside of those topics, then I'd ask that you would, I suppose, reach out to me directly, or in the survey that we'll send out afterwards. Please do let us know if you want to cover anything in more detail. Okay, so we'll move on to the next slide. And can everyone see that as the poll has gone down now, Maria?
Yep, it has.
Beautiful, thank you. So why is a transition needed to intelligent barcodes, and why are we here? So consumers expect quick access to product information. First of all, everything's in a very fast-paced world that we live in, and products are kind of, they're a little bit behind in terms of how they actually connect with consumers, and intelligent barcodes can help with that, as we'll see in a minute. Product packaging also contains too many symbols. So there's symbols for traceability information, there could be symbols for marketing information, symbols for point of sale, or internal process symbols that manufacturers put on there as well. Our question is, can we reduce that down, make it simpler, and get more value out of that space as well? So use it for labeling, or use it more efficiently anyway. Brands and retailers can take advantage of more data to solve new business challenges as well. So if you have lot numbers or serial numbers or expiry dates in there encoded in your barcode, then that can help with other processes, as we'll see as we go through the slides. And EAN UPC barcodes, which is the typical linear barcode on a product at point of sale, they limit the use cases as they can't hold additional data. So that's the barcode there at the bottom right of the back of that product. That's an EAN UPC barcode. It just holds an identifier, doesn't hold any more granular dynamic information such as lot numbers, serial numbers, expiry dates, or any supporting information for that product. So 2D and intelligent barcode symbols can help accomplish all of this. So let's have a look through the slides and see how that can actually be done. So what's happening globally with intelligent barcodes? Well, what was once about getting a barcode for your products is now about connecting your product to the actual the business world. And it's about bridging the physical world and the digital world where everything is connected and everything needs to, I suppose, talk to everything as well. Or this kind of changes everything in a way because you have to think about how to connect your product to a digital world. And GS1 standards help meet the needs of consumers for trusted information about the products they purchase, no matter how or where they shop. And that's either the physical identification of the product or also the digital standards that go around linking that physical and digital world. So we have standards which are very much black and white. You're either within the standards or you're outside. And if you use those, then it means that interoperability can then be benefited across all of the stakeholders in a supply chain because everyone is speaking the one language. So what are intelligent barcodes? You'll see some examples here on the image there on the right. There's GS1 128s, GS1 data matrix, ITF14, QR codes, EA and UPC barcodes. Those are all different types of barcodes, but intelligent barcodes, put simply, they're barcodes that embed data and can be used by stakeholders all along the supply chain. This can be a core identifier, such as a GTIN, so that's your product identifier that goes on any product, along with production-specific information, such as batch numbers, or more granular information, such as serial numbers, to build a more detailed story of that specific product or that batch of product, and add value and transparency to the supply chain as the product moves through it. You'll see some examples here on the slide of various ways of actually printing a barcode as well. There's actually laser or chemical etching in the middle there on a metallic part, which would be a bearing. The quality of barcodes, the size of barcodes, it's all impacted by the industry that they're used in. But the technology is now there to print and scan barcodes, even down to millimeters in size as well. So it's not so much a space limitation and it's not so much an equipment limitation. It's a lot of it can be actually an educational and awareness limitation, and pilots can help actually improve that awareness and improve the uptake of this technology for the benefit of our members as well. So let's have a look at intelligent barcodes in action. And first of all, we'll kick into some benefits of intelligent barcodes across industries. The first few will focus on retail, because that's the majority of people on this call, but we'll also look at some implementations within healthcare and also some implementations then within rail and construction. And then we'll be looking at specific use cases in the second half of the session. So benefits of intelligent barcodes in warehousing, on pallets or outer cases, which is kind of back of house. More information in the barcode is one of the core benefits. So you can encode dates, best before dates, expiry dates, production dates, and warehouse management systems can then prioritize stock by date and stock rotation, facilitating a better stock management process as well. Weights can be encoded in the barcode and linked to the warehouse management system also, so that can help with transport and logistics. Encoding additional data such as hazardous materials information can be helpful for managing processes within your organization. And there's also potential to encode packaging type within a barcode as well. And I know that those discussions are going on even at a global level around recycling various product packaging and how to actually capture that data best. And then GS1 standards are being used and engaged in those conversations as well. In terms of traceability, Encoding of lot numbers allows for more accurate and safer recalls. That can be at a lot level or a batch level, but you could also encode serial numbers and actually identify when each of the individual serialized products has been returned. That's more granular. It may not be needed for basic or high level recalls, but for high value recalls, it will be very helpful, and the high value items are normally serialized. Warehouse systems can be configured to flag or recall GTIN or lot matches as well. So if there's a GTIN and lot that's been recalled, you can actually set that in your WMS, and that can flag if you have that product and that batch in stock as well. So it cuts out a lot of the manual efforts as well. And serialization, as I said, enables unique identification of each pallet or case so that you can track individually each pallet as it moves through your supply chain in your warehouse. You could even scan it into a physical location and have that marked on your warehouse management system as well. And benefits of intelligent barcodes at point of sale for retail then. So consumer benefits, consumers can benefit from automated price markdowns. If the shelf labeling is actually set up as well, there could be digital shelf labeling with automatic price markdowns built in as well. And that stops the relabeling that retailers have to go around and do and mark down prices for goods that are coming up close to expiry. Consumers are no longer sold expired food items at point of sale as well. So if the product is expired, then it'll actually be stopped from being sold. So it cuts out a lot of that risk and improves consumer safety as well. And recalled food will not be sold to consumers. So if it's recalled, the system will actually stop it at the point of sale because it'll be linked up to look for that specific lot number. And there's a possibility to link product information to loyalty card data, so helping to reduce food waste or facilitate recalls. So you can imagine if you have expiry dates on all the product that you buy, when that goes through the till system, those expiry dates are captured, and those could even be linked in, we'll say, through systems and processes with a consumer facing app, where that app could tell you, basically, you have this food purchased, this is in your fridge, link it in with smart fridges or smart devices, and all of this starts to build a much bigger picture and more information as well, more granularity of information to help reduce food waste. Consumers can interact with barcodes containing the GS1 digital link, and I have a couple slides just to explain what that is and some examples as well of where that's been implemented coming up. And in supplier benefits, so retailers can share on-shelf availability data with suppliers to prevent stockouts and food waste, and there's better visibility then through actual product level visibility of stock on the shelves. And there's a direct link is possible to consumers as well through the GS1 digital link. So you could actually have promotional campaigns, information campaigns, marketing campaigns available to a consumer through a scan of a two-dimensional barcode on your product. Who wouldn't want that? And then some of the benefits that we're seeing of intelligent barcodes at the point of sale. So learnings from global retailer implementations. So you have better inventory visibility, first of all, more granular and at a sale item level rather than the actual case or the warehousing level. Increased on-shelf availability as well. You have better visibility of on-shelf availability. It can enable automatic price markdowns at the point of sale, reducing the amount of people that you actually have to send around the shop once or twice a day, finding and searching for expired product. All of that can actually be automated on the system digitally. Reduction in food waste through the sale of product before the use by date, so a reduction in the labor for checking the shelves, encodes the batch or lot or serialization for traceability to point of sale or to consumer via loyalty programs. So imagine if you actually started linking in with consumers after the product's been sold, and you can actually see where exactly it's been gone, what it's being used for, and that interaction could happen through that digital link standards that I talked about earlier on. And it stops the sale of expired or recalled items, consumer safety there, and it reduces the number of symbols on a pack as well. So for home brand items for retailers or for brand owners as well, that's important to actually gain back that space on your packaging, on your label, to use for, you know, marketing information, for actually trying to inform the consumer or build that story. And you can also encode additional information or additional data in a barcode, which retailers may find helpful as well. And we'll see some examples of various types of information that retailers are currently encoding in various use cases as well. Key learnings is that from the implementation of intelligent barcode, barcodes in retailers, are that software, label, hardware and printer firmware updates are required. So to be able to scan, interpret, manage the additional data, and staff training is one of the key areas that was flagged as well as needing attention when anything like this is going through. On the right hand side there, you'll see some of the data that has been encoded in some of the examples. So G10, which is your product identifier. You also have the price, the weight. That's if it's a variable measure product. It could be a price per kg, or the weight then could be linked to a price on the actual ERP system, or the PIM systems as well within the retailer. And best before or use by dates, batch numbers or lot numbers. In healthcare then, so global healthcare has implemented intelligent barcodes across a variety of areas in line with the GS1 traceability standards. And those include scan for surgery, which allows traceability of implants in surgery in Ireland. The Falsified Medicines Directive, there's a US and there's also the EU version of that, which protect against counterfeit medicine and patient safety. You have unique device identification for medical devices, and that enhances safety by facilitating traceability of medical devices. And in Ireland as well, we've had some kind of local projects. So those projects I've mentioned are international and also in Ireland. But in Ireland, we have traceability of infant feeds at the Children's Hospital of Ireland, which is Temple Street. And that's where the special feeds unit actually record and track individual feeds. So it's a traceability solution, traceability basically from the door to the patient. And we actually print more granular labels that can be applied to the feed tubs to allow for that traceability and allow that visibility to be developed. But how does all that work? Well, it's all based on this simple type of barcode in front of us, so the GS1 data matrix, with the same core information encoded. And what does all of that mean for healthcare then? So it gives them the ability to implement controls on medical devices, on medicines, on clinical processes, because you have visibility of a medical device or a pharmaceutical product or a product in the hospital that it could be at a G10 plus lot level, or it could be at a serialized level where you can actually see each individual or track each individual medical device. It improves patient safety by eliminating the use of the wrong product or medicine at the point of care. So if you're scanning things against the patient, then if there's an issue, the system will flag that. And it eliminates or it enables quicker product recall processes as well, which is very important for patient safety, get the dangerous product off of the shelves. It's an elimination as well of international differences in uniquely identifying medicines, medical products or product classes, as well as shipments. So everyone is using the same language to identify, to label. Then that means that products could potentially be sold and distributed across the globe between various stakeholders. And then intelligent barcodes in construction and rail. So in rail, valuable assets and maintenance, repair and overhaul processes utilize serialized asset tags, location tags, and unique product or material identification to improve visibility and create efficiencies in the supply chain. As you can see on the top left example, encoding more granular information in an asset tag allows the person scanning to pull detailed information about the asset and even scan the product or the asset barcode in this case into offline systems, so they don't need to have a connection to an online database, because there's so much information that can be encoded, and that's to help speed up the processes and identification, and also maintenance, repair, and overhaul. Many different printing techniques can be used to encode the data. So laser etching is one such example there, as you can see in the bottom left. So there's laser or chemical etching can be used to engrave onto various surfaces, or just the general printing can be used onto the likes of paper labels or certain types of substrate as well. RFID tags are also popular for unique identification of serialized assets and are scannable over longer distances, creating better visibility, less resources required because you can set up scanners at a distance, and stock management processes as well. So that's used heavily in rail actually for items in warehouses to actually be able to track and find and pinpoint where those are stored accurately. Okay, and then what we'll move on to now, guys, is the digital link standard. So what is the digital link standard? So GS1 have worked with industry to create the digital link standard, which enables the sharing of structured data in a digital world, and it allows brand owners to use one barcode online and also offline to connect consumers and trading partners and to the product information that they want and need, using a standardized GS1 format that everybody can read, basically, to share information such as receipts, traceability information, instructions or user manuals, as we'll see in some of the use cases coming up, and any information you can link to a product. So it could be marketing information, it could be videos, it could be competitions, it could be more specific information such as delivery instructions if you were dealing with a warehousing situation, or hazardous material information as well for certain products. So whatever you can link to a product, if it's digital, if it's stored on a URL, or if there's somewhere that it's stored and can be managed, then you can link it through the digital link. And this helps to enhance the shopping experience for consumers, or even the overall supply chain data management experience for supply chain stakeholders as well. It also strengthens brand loyalty and efficiencies in the supply chain for brand owners and for retailers alike as well. So potential value of the GS1 digital link. So it has the opportunity to help transform current labeling into an efficient, empowering platform for retailers and consumers. And it can enable limitless linked information, improve data latency, and more. So first of all, it helps to reduce the label types. So instead of having multiple labels, as we saw in one of the examples earlier, and we'll see in the next slide as well, for marketing, for point of sale, for internal processes, you can actually reduce it down to one type of label. And now this is all dependent on retailers being able to scan this, but it is in the future, this is where it will be going. It will be one barcode that links to all the information and simplifies the processes. So multiple barcodes versus a single barcode, a data matrix or a QR code encoded with GS1 standardized identifiers in the GS1 digital link format. It can link to additional information. So your current product, there might be a QR code that links to a static URL. That might be a website for the brand owner. But what the digital link allows is you can link, as I said, to all of those various bits of information, a traceability information. You could have ingredients, you could have competitions, marketing information, coupons linked to a digital link. It extends uniqueness as well. So currently identical codes are on all of the products that you sell at point of sale. So that's that product A that you have, we'll say if it's strawberry jam, all of the barcodes are the same, but you can actually have those serialized or even at a lot level as well to provide more granular information of where is that batch being sold, or where is that specific product being sold for a high level or high value product. And it also then aggregates. So the current process that's in place is retailers aggregate data, they gather it, they store it on their actual PIM systems. But through the digital link, retailers could actually link to data or have data updated as well. If the brand owners were keeping the data source linked to the digital link up to date, then the retailers could potentially pull that and update their systems actively as well, should the need arise. And then a glimpse at the barcode of the future. So in the past, there was one barcode to identify a product type. You'll see that on the left. That's what's currently on our products. But at present, we have multiplied out to multiple barcodes on products, including that original barcode, that EAN 13. And that's to meet the needs of point-to-sale systems, to meet marketing requirements. You have a QR code linking to static brand URLs, or for internal supply chain requirements. You can have, some people put barcodes on there, or 2D barcodes for internal processes. So the likes of matching packaging components on production lines, matching a lid to a tub, they can use that. But the digital link would allow the same data to be encoded, but just in one barcode and interpreted by the various users as they see fit. The transition is going to be an effort of combining multiple barcodes into one, and the GS1 digital link could be very well the answer to this, reducing the amount of space required on a barcode, or for a barcode on the label, and connecting the stakeholder to the information that they'll need at that time. So you can have logic and whatnot built into the digital link. And if there's an appetite for our next session, which is on the 7th of July, we can go into a little bit more detail of the digital link, what it is, how it works. But overall, it's going to take a few years to determine the best future solution, and not all industries will come to the same solution, as their needs will differ. So various industries will choose various different sizes of symbol, or different symbols even, as their preference, depending on their scanning environments and whatnot. So where is the data embedded barcode evolution at today? So globally, what's happening? There's rollouts, proofs of concepts and pilots that are happening all over the world. So let's have a look at some examples. And we have some from Brazil, from Germany, Belgium, Russia, Australia, even Ireland, name but a few. In the slides that we'll share as well, I'll also share in an appendix, there'll be some additional retailer orientated slides as well, or FMCG retail. And you can have a look through those, and questions, of course, always shoot them back to us. And we'll run through some of the examples here. So do review the deck if you please, and come back to us. So GS1 Belgium, or Belgilux, had a project to move from restricted circulation numbers in retail to the G10. And restricted circulation numbers, for anyone who's not familiar with them, they're the numbers that are put on variable measure items, so the likes of meat, even cheeses, and they can be used for internal processes within a retailer's, within their kind of closed walls. But they have limitations, and there was a need, I suppose, within Belgium. The retailers identified a need to move to a G10 so that they could actually have more data, connect more data and whatnot against the product. And the key takeaways from this in Belgium and Luxembourg, the implementation is ongoing since 2017. The purpose of the project was to move from restricted circulation numbers to G10s, but the group decided the optimal data carrier for this was the GS1 data matrix, instead of actually using the old EAN 13 data matrix. And they kind of bumped it up to adding the two-dimensional barcode aspect to the transition, as well as changing the codes behind the barcodes. Since then, more and more retailers have been getting ready for two-dimensional barcodes at their point of sale systems. So you have Carrefour, Intermarché, Metro and Macro, and Del Food as well are some examples. And GS1 Belgilux is guiding and training them in the meantime, and in what's involved and what learnings are there. And although investments are needed, the participants are all convinced of the project and its benefits, and they wish to continue using two-dimensional barcodes for a larger scope of products and uses. So coupons, fixed weight products, consumer connection as well. So that's the digital link that we're talking about there, and being able to connect directly with those. The retailers are convinced 2D barcodes are the future as well, is what's coming out from that. But as I say, I'll be sharing these slides and you can read in a little more detail yourselves as well into what's happened. Or any questions, do come back. Woolworths in Australia also had a 2D implementation that's been running over the last few years, and that's been implemented on fixed and variable measure product. So the key drivers for that were enabling new business cases and more granular data. So that could help with expiry date management, waste reduction, reduce the number of symbols on packs as well, so conscious of the labeling space, traceability information, quality, targeted recalls, and efficiencies in markdowns. Where a lot of this actually kicked off in Australia were some recall issues that were being had with fruit and vegetable that were having issues, and the lot number and the G10 were combined for traceability and recall purposes. And from there, it's grown because of the value that was found once it was actually established. Data that's encoded, so the G10, the price and the weight is used for variable measure items so that they can be correctly priced at the point of sale. And then the use by date, the best before dates, the batch and lot numbers are also encoded, but they're optional on some products depending on the priority and whatnot. It's live in over 1,000 stores now, and barcode quality is one of the key learnings. They have 9,000 in-store printers, so that's quality of the barcodes. If you're not printing correctly, then they probably won't scan correctly either. The size of the barcode as well, performance on older scanner types can be an issue. So it is, I suppose there are considerations, and we can actually organize a session on that in terms of stakeholder considerations for implementing intelligent barcodes as well, if that's of interest to the group. So what they found was when scanned at the point of sale, customers will be alerted that the product is past its expiry date and the system won't allow the purchase. Now that's stopping, that's improving consumer safety, but that's one of the very basic findings that they have from it, but it's also a core finding. GS1 Switzerland are working with Co-op to implement the GS1 data matrix pilot, and that's Co-op are one of Switzerland's largest retailers, and they've implemented fixed measure trade items. So that would be the likes of a sandwich here with intelligent barcodes with a two-dimensional GS1 data matrix in this case, and they're encoding the G10, the batch number, the best before date, and the country of origin on that. So that gives traceability, stock management, waste reduction capabilities. It's implemented as of March 2021 this year, and the learnings will still be coming in from that. But it's these things are happening around us as well, and the industry is moving forward with this, is the point from this. In Ireland, so GS1 Ireland have worked with Airfield Estate in Dublin, in Dundrum, on a milk labelling project. And the purpose of the project is to create an awareness of product traceability information and an informed consumer using GS1 standards. Food waste reduction was also one of the priorities of the project. And by implementing consumer traceability and intelligent barcode labeling with a two-dimensional data matrix on Airfield Estate's milk using GS1 Ireland's label printing software solution, GS1 Labeler. The FTrace solution was also embedded in a closed loop production environment. So the milking process, the bottling process, everything happened, even the pasteurization happened on site in Airfield, and we were able to track all of that and record that through the FTrace system. And we're currently in talks with Airfield Estate's point of sale provider to set up their system to be able to scan intelligent barcodes at the point of sale to utilize the information for stock management and waste management, so that we can take those learnings and have a proof of concept in Ireland that we can bring people to and talk about with. And there's also discussions with a food waste app provider to see if they can actually scan the barcode, the intelligent barcode, use the data, and we can engage with consumers around that as well on food waste, on a food waste pilot as well out of airfield, and take the learnings from that to actually to be able to, I suppose, improve visibility of this technology and adoption of it for the benefit of all the stakeholders. The airfield project is very much focused on the consumer side and learning from that as well. And as part of the airfield project, we did embed the FTrace traceability solution. FTrace is an event-based traceability solution, and it offers, which GS1 offers, sorry, and it's based on the GS1 EPCIS traceability standard. But basically what it does is it tells you each event in the supply chain, where it was, what happened, when it happened, who was involved, and how it happened, or what was the process or whatnot. And in this case here, it's fish that's being talked through, but in the milk example as well, it's the same logic. It's when was it milked, when was it pasteurized, when was it bottled, where did it happen? And you can build out, as you can see there on the phone app here on the right, you can see the locations of the catch for the fish, but you can actually track physically where all of the events for a product have actually happened or taken place. And FTrace allows trading partners and consumers to access the traceability information related to the product's life cycle as well, and specific information for each captured traceability event. So that's the FTrace solution and airfield. And now let's have a look at some of the implementations that have happened, I suppose, around the globe in terms of intelligent barcodes. So in Brazil, there was an AF Datalink digital link implementation, where Datalink, they're a manufacturer of special cables for professional use in audio systems, and they wanted to improve their user experience. So they applied a QR code with the digital link standard so that they could link their consumers quickly and accurately to access information about the product. So helpful information, websites, or also user manuals, product manuals as well. So help to streamline that process. And the learnings from that was it was necessary to change the website in order to meet the actual traffic that they were getting. And also the first commercial product, it is in Brazil, using the actual digital link standard. So a very basic use, linking to information manuals, but it's something that's currently not really being done in the market, and it's accessible to all members of GS1. In Brazil as well, there was a green code project, which also embraced the digital link standards. And the project itself, the green code project, is to identify the origin and characteristics of trees that generate the seedlings grown in the nursery. So it's all about traceability basically, and tracing that it can be traced to the consumer as well. And the standards that are used are the G10, which is the product identifier, lot numbers for each lot of trees that moves through the system, and GLNs, which are global location numbers that identify specific locations such as growing locations or storage locations. It's a bit of a shift for GS1 in terms of the standard. It's been applied together with the digital link in a new sector. So plant identification is a new one for us. So our standards and the digital link, it just shows that anything can be identified and processes can be improved with better data. It was necessary as well to update the software by the supplier so that the digital link could be read and generated. And that's just an example of one of the use cases, user manuals for the digital link. Also in Brazil, there was a Via Mart traceability implementation for shoes, where they actually serialized each individual packet or box of shoes. over 1 million plus GTINs out there, and why they did that, or what were the drivers to enable a series of business processes, including quality control, traceability, real-time inventory, full certification of dispatched products as well. So you can pinpoint when each box, where it was or when it was sent out, and actually have the traceability around that. Key learnings: updates to software required. Cost and error reductions as a result of the implementations went up because of efficiencies and automation of data capture, and faster dispatch processes as well because of that automated data share, that accuracy that was there. It just sped up all of the processes. In GS1 Germany, then, they've been working with Metro, which is one of the local retailers there, to implement traceability on fresh meat and fish. And the key driver for that was the imaging equipment had been installed, and there was a desire to enable the two-dimensional symbol to be read at the point of sale, and traceability information by customers via smartphones as well on the Metro app. So they looked at same data set as what we've seen, almost the same as what we've seen in the healthcare situation. A GTIN, which is the product identifier, a lot number, best before date. There's not a serial number in this case, but you had lot level traceability, and you can have variable weight in there as well, should that be required. And the migration was from a GS1 data bar to a GS1 data matrix. There were some learnings from that in terms of moisture and wrinkles. Suppliers had high adoption. They would have had to upgrade their printing setups, but if they were able to print dynamic information, they may well have been able to use the same printers to print that data matrix as well, and just update the firmware and the actual processes. Okay. And in Russia, so GS1 Russia have been working with the Russian Federation as well on the national track and trace digital systems. And the key drivers of that were the creation of a national information system, enabling regulatory authorities to maintain the flow of goods in order to protect the market against counterfeit products, improve tax control and consumer information. And all stakeholders in the supply chain, manufacturers, importers, wholesalers and retailers, are required to register to the system and to log their products on the system. The way it works is it's through a mandatory data of the GTIN, which is the product identifier, plus a serial number, plus an actual third-party verification code as well, which verifies and enhances the traceability, the anti-counterfeiting and the security of the product being issued. And there was a phased rollout, and still rolling out now, of footwear and tobacco, followed then by perfumes and colognes and pharmaceutical products there as of January 2021. In Ireland, we've worked with Highway Safety Developments, which are a road sign manufacturer, and I'm conscious of time, so I'll move through and just focus on the benefits here. They identified components within their own production processes, so within a closed loop, but very much to increase efficiencies, ensure unique identification and traceability of every sign and component within that sign, and it maintains forensic detail of every component used, original suppliers, batch codes, so you can link all of this back, and if there's a problem with one component in one item, then you can actually look at other items, you can track other items that have used that same component from that same batch and check those as well, and it allows for fault finding within your own processes. Provides almost instant recallability if substandard components are subsequently identified then in that case, and provides links to inspection, service, maintenance, and cleaning records, and also photographs can be stored against the products as well, but that's all by uniquely identifying. And then there's also a GS1 UK Speedy Services equipment hire example, where one of the largest equipment hire facilities had a requirement from consumers to actually be more flexible in their rental options that they were offering. So they uniquely identified all of their items with asset identifiers. And what they found was that better equipment utilization, instant access, and reduced rental charges were a result of just better management of their own stock. So key takeaways from implementation so far, different markets are progressing at different speeds based on local drivers, as we have seen in healthcare versus retail. And intelligent symbols that might be possible to use at point of sale locally, because the technology is there, may not work everywhere else, because point of sale technology may be linear rather than optical. This could be due to limitations in countries that you might be exporting to. Technology adoption varies, and the catalyst to move to high capacity two-dimensional barcodes varies from country to country. Regulation may sometimes be the driver, as was the way in healthcare with the falsified medicines directives. Best before dates or expiry dates could be pushed by retail stakeholders at local levels for fresh food safety, waste reduction, stock management, as we're seeing in Australia, in Belgium as well, or even in Switzerland. Traceability requirements could be a driver, so if lot numbers or serial numbers are required to be encoded by legislation or by retailers as well. And also consumer engagement is a driver. That digital link standard is really driving things ahead. But let's take a poll here, guys, in terms of, if Maria, if you could share that, please. So this next poll is just a simple question. Do you have projects in mind that might benefit from intelligent barcodes that we could actually engage with you with and see if we could actually develop pilots or proof of concepts, or in fact, even just rollouts of intelligent barcodes? So Maria, can you get that, that poll up, please?
Yeah, it's up and they're voting away. We'll give everybody a couple of minutes. Votes are still coming in, but it's very much, which is very positive actually, that the bulk of people already have something in mind.
Okay, brilliant, brilliant. Well, I suppose that's something that we can follow up on as well in the follow-up survey. For anyone who says that you have something in mind, if you could provide more detail of that in the follow-up survey questions, they'll be open. You'll have the ability to type in free text as well. So just fill us in on as much information and we can engage on that. And there's if that survey is done, Maria, there's the second poll as well then, in terms of the working group. So this second poll will be, it's gauging your interest in participation in the working group. Would you like to be an active participant and talking about what you're doing? Would you like to be an observer and just gaining information and kind of watching what's happening globally and locally? Or would you like to be just on the mailing list and get updates as to what's happening on this working group? Or do you just not think that this is an area for you? And that's okay too. So if you can let me know once that's done as well, please, Maria.
Okay, at the moment it's 50-50 between active participants on observers, couple then just for mailing list updates, and one obviously where it's not appropriate for them at this time.
Perfect. So thanks for that, guys. Well, what we'll do is we can follow up anyway with the information after this call. The next steps that we have set are, the next call is set for the 7th of July at 11 a.m. The follow-up survey and information and slides from this call will be sent out. And the survey will inform the topics for discussion. But what I've earmarked already, and depending on what we get back in the survey, is preliminary topics are how data in intelligent barcodes is encoded and scanned, just kind of a 101 on that to understand what data is encoded, how does that look, how does that work, to kind of demystify that process. Digital link information session as well, just a more in-depth look at digital link, what it's about, how it works, and then intelligent barcode implementation considerations for stakeholders. So for a manufacturer versus a retailer, what are the things you want to think about in terms of an implementation, hardware, software, other factors such as that training aspect that came up as well. So any questions, guys? I know we're tight on time, but if anyone has any questions or wants to unmute themselves or tell me basically that I did a very bad job, then you're more than welcome. But I hope this session was helpful. So please do unmute yourself, or else please do contact as well. The next slide is my contact slide, so you can get my email there afterwards as well.
Hi Tim, it's Dean here.
Hi Dean.
From Primark, okay. It's a really useful session. How do we get the invite for the 7th of July? Could that be sent over to the people that have attended today from Primark or Pennies?
Yeah, we'll anyone that's on the call today or registered for a call, what we'll organize is the follow-up email. We can include it in that as well. I believe we have the link created and everything. Maria, is that right?
Yep, I'll send it over. Now, what I think I'll do, we had 3 or 4 people, and I know even some people eventually made it in. We had some issues with people being, trying to register and actually get in. So I think we'll just set it up as a standard Zoom call with a link for everybody, and we'll organize that in the next couple of days.
Great, thank you very much.
Any other questions, folks? Or if you do have questions, if you don't have time now, please do include them in the survey, or please do put it in there and we can come back to you on that, or we can address it in the next session anyway. Okay, guys. Well, if that's it, thank you all for your time on the call today. I hope it was helpful. We'll send out the invites and follow-up information. My contact information is in front of you there. You'll also have emails from myself that you can reach out to. And please feel free to contact us and open up that conversation. And looking forward to our next call. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.